he's not spewing hate. He's spewing ignorance, frankly. And so he's entitled to his opinion, I think. However, if he hurts people, we have to be careful. It's a very strange thing for him to say. It's almost comical.
All right, there you go. Welcome back to the Steve Malzberg Show. Hour number 2, Friday edition, as we take you into Christmas week and the weekend before Christmas. What's the weekend before Christmas? Maybe someone should write that one as well. Anyway, that was Dr. Drew Pinsky from Lovelines fame, and he was with us yesterday, and I did manage to ask him about the Duck Dynasty controversy and the Phil Robertson suspension by A&E. Joining us now to talk about it is somebody who has done something about it directly. Chris Stone, faith-driven consumer president, here on the Steve Malzberg Show. And welcome, Chris, and Merry Christmas to you.
Merry Christmas, Steve. Thank you for having us today, and we are excited to discuss this topic.
Yes. Well, all right. You immediately launched an online site called IStandWithPhil.com, a petition drive. Talk about the success of that so far.
Well, Steve, at this point in time, we've had tremendous support. I think a little over 120,000 people have signed the petition. We've had over 2 million page views of our website, just a tremendous outpouring of support. Curiously, we've had even commenters who signed the petition who said that they were, in fact, members of the LGBT community and said that while I don't believe and I don't share Phil's point of view, I do support his ability to say it.
Yeah, I mean that seems to be actually the popular thought process here. That let the free market take effect, and he was expressing he wasn't saying something should happen to gays. He wasn't saying some people should attack gays. He wasn't calling for violence. Even Dr. Drew said he wasn't spewing hate. So were you surprised at all by what A&E did, or not really?
No, I think it was a typical response. Our culture has conditioned us to the response of if anything is contrary to certain agendas, then it must be shouted down and censored. And our viewpoint is, well, let the marketplace have its way. Let the marketplace decide. And that's what we're doing with IStandWithPhil.com, is letting people vote. Do you want to see Phil, or do you not want to see Phil? And this is a group of people who said, hey, we like Phil.
Well, now tell us what the petition says that they would be signing, basically. What are you asking for in the petition? You're writing, I guess, to the folks over at A&E, correct?
Absolutely. First and foremost, we're asking for Phil to be reinstated. And that'll be a business decision that A&E will have to make. We're also asking A&E to consider an alternative worldview. A worldview simply as the lens through which we all see the world. And in the clip, Dr. Drew suggested that Phil Robertson was ignorant. Well, I guess that is his point of view, and what we have is a collision of two worldviews here, those people who have a biblically based, an orthodox biblical worldview, and those that have a different point of view.
Yeah, just so you know, Dr. Drew wouldn't even admit that with everything being equal, a child is better off with a mom and a dad. He said the studies haven't been done with alternatives to prove that, so he couldn't even give me that. But anyway, I'm sorry I interrupted.
No, it's fine. I don't know if the studies have been done, but for thousands of years, the family has worked fairly well as a cohesive unit, and when it starts to break apart or change from that model, the societal impact has not been that good. But I'm not a social scientist, so I should, I guess, stay out of that area. The point here is that you have competing worldviews, and Phil expressed a biblical worldview, which he almost literally quoted 1 Corinthians 6, 9 through 10. And many people said it's okay for him to have that belief, he just can't say it.
Right.
There was a commentator on television last night that said that over and over and over again. And what she was really doing is saying, my truth trumps your truth. And I think in America, that's not how we have operated traditionally, but recently we have become to censor people that the progressive members of our community don't like.
Let me, I'm sorry, we're talking to Chris Stone. He is the president of Faith-Driven Consumer here on the Steve Malzberg Show. Let me play you one other thing that he said overall about freedom of speech being under attack, and here's cut 17. It's a biblical belief that that a man should be with a woman. So he's an unashamed Christian and has made that point very clear. I've never watched this series.
And let me follow on with that very issue. I believe free speech is under attack in this country, and I'm very concerned about that. To the extent that he's free to say what he wishes, as long as it's not hate or doesn't harm other people. You can't yell fire in a crowded theater. You're not entitled to that. But I do think we've become quite aggressive with our attacks on free speech, and that concerns me.
I'm sure you would agree with that.
Yeah, I would definitely agree that speech is protected for some and not for others. There was a lot of comment about that last night. And, we're not so much in this from a political standpoint. GLAAD came into this and the HRC came into this to advocate for their community and for the point of view of their community. And we're simply doing the same thing. Our role is as an advocate for faith-driven consumers. Those are people whose faith is a significant enough part of their life that it influences their daily behavior and choices. And in doing so, we're giving that group a voice to say, okay, they've had their say. Now let us have our say. Allow us to become a part of America's rainbow of diversity, and then let the market decide and brands to decide who they want to engage. And it's not that they have to engage us and exclude another. Everyone can be part of the fabric and the diversity of the rainbow, as long as we allow open discourse and participation.
Yeah, and let me ask you this. How long are you keeping the petition up? And, it seems evident that A&E will not. They already have a year's worth of programming in the can, as they say, and the family's now saying they're not going to go forward probably without Phil. So, when does this become kind of an issue to move on from?
Well, at this very moment, we're approaching 28 hours and have 125,801 signatures. I think at some point in time, A&E will have to make a decision and determine whether those people's voice has any bearing and what are the consequences of them disbanding in effect or taking Duck Dynasty off the air. They are in a unique position at this point. As you said, they have got almost a whole season in the can, so they can, as so many people say, they can, excuse the pun, kick the can down the road for at least a year before this decision has to truly play out.
All right, well, listen, good job with the petition. Those are very impressive numbers, and people could go to that's the letter istandwithphil.com, and check it out and sign it if they so desire. Again, Merry Christmas. Thanks for coming on, Chris.
Thank you, and Merry Christmas to you and your listeners.
Thank you. My pleasure. That's Chris Stone, president of Faith-Driven Consumer, here on the Steve Malzberg Show. Very interesting. When we come back, Congressman Pete Hoekstra will be here, and we'll talk a little bit about Obama's press conference and the year in review, if you will, from a political standpoint. So you're not going to want to miss that. We're going to have Noel Shepard and Malzberg's Media Madness at the bottom of the hour. Next hour, some sports with Jared Max, and take a look at a scandal that could bring down Governor Christie's presidential hopes. You're not going to want to miss that in the next hour either. Steve Malzberg Show, Newsmax TV, and